Good afternoon, everyone. I'm starting about a minute early, but we're so close. I'm going to go ahead and start. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Victor Johnson. I'm a career facilitator with Goodwill Columbus. And this afternoon, our session is about the Indeed Resume Builder. It's a great tool to use to build up your resume and to make changes to your resume. Also to keep your resume online for prospective employers. So let's get right into it. Okay, the Indeed resume. There's 5 steps to it, very simple steps. And what we will do is review the 5 steps, and then we will take then I'll take some examples and show them to you. So first about Indeed. Indeed is the #1 job site in the world, and they have over 3 million clients, corporations and companies that use their services to find people for work. And they have over 20 million jobs listed. It is a powerful tool for you to have. Also, Indeed has partnered with Goodwill Columbus. And in that partnership, there are even more resources that are available to you. All you have to do is visit the Indeed and Goodwill landing site, and the email address is right there on the, I'm sorry, not email address, the web address is right there on the slide. Indeed.com/partner/Goodwill. And we're going to start with the sign-in process. So you would just sign in, click the sign-in button. If you do not have an Indeed account, you can start one. When you click sign in, the sign in case is going to show up. But towards the bottom, right underneath the white rectangle, you'll see how you can start an Indeed account. It's very simple. You just need an email address and make your own password, and you'll be ready to go. Now, when you're building a resume on Indeed, you have to have an account. There are some things you can do with Indeed online, but having a resume built in is not one of them if you don't have an account. So remember that you have to have an account. So after you've made your account, you can decide, do you want to build your resume or do you want to upload a resume? Indeed has these compartments where you just enter the information. Once the information goes in, you can change it, you can edit it, things like that, but Indeed will format the resume for you. If you're uploading a resume, it will upload into the right categories, and then you can go back and check it and check the spelling and things like that. But today, we're going to build a resume. So you've made your account, you're clicking on, build your own resume, and now it's going to ask you to confirm your account. That's just one of those things that happens with Indeed to make sure that you're the correct user. You confirm your account. If you're a new user, they'll send a message to your email of confirming your account. Now, there are 5 parts of the Indeed resume, or actually any resume. There's the content information or contact information. There's your education. There's your relevant job skills or work experience, and any certifications that you may have. Also, your skills. A listing of your skills and mention of how you've learned your skills or used your skills. And then there's a summary. Now, they have summary as number 5, but on a regular resume, the summary will be the first thing that the person reads after your name. Excuse me. Okay, so number 1, contact information. When you're building the resume and you're being taken through the steps on Indeed, you'll enter your contact information. It'll ask you for your recent job title, for your education level. It'll ask you for a professional email address. And by professional email address, that's usually first name, last name, at Gmail or something like that. Professional email address is very important because when someone's contacting you about the job, they want to be sure that they are contacting the right person. If my email address is snowbunny22@gmail.com, they may disassociate the email address from my name and they would have no idea who they're contacting. Plus, it doesn't say that I'm really that serious when it comes to communicating in a business world. Now, next to the bottom, it'll ask you if you want to make your information public or private. When you go public, everyone on Indeed, all the employers who are using the Indeed service can see your resume, your name, your information. And there it is again. That's where you would click make it public. You could keep it private. Let's say you're working on your resume and you didn't finish, or there's things you want to add later. You can keep it private. And then when you're done and it looks the way that you want it to look, then you go ahead and put it public. Okay, now we've put in the contact information. We've decided to make it public or private. And now we're going to talk about education. And as you can see on the slide, there's a drop down when you click on education, and you can select, things high school, bachelor degree, master's degree. And then towards the bottom, if you've taken classes or you've graduated from somewhere, it'll ask you the time that you went to that school, time that you took that training. So you'll put the dates in. And remember this, when you're doing your resume, let's say you went to Columbus State and you took 30 hours of business classes, and most of them were business management. Even though you didn't graduate from Columbus State, that is still knowledge that you have. That is still knowledge that is valuable to someone in the business world. So even if you didn't graduate, if you've taken classes, list the classes and when you took them, and then that person, the HR person, will understand that you have taken these classes and that you have some knowledge in this area. So just because you haven't graduated from something doesn't mean you can't put down your education. Also, if you're about to graduate, or you're going to graduate in a year or something like that, then you would write into the remarks, you could put in anticipated or projected graduation date of June 2021. So never leave your education blank. Through your life, you have learned things, you have gained knowledge. So get it all in there so that they can see all the experiences that you have. Now, after education, we're going to add work experience. And Indeed suggests that you don't include everything that you did in your past jobs, but focus more on achievements that you made in your past jobs and responsibilities that you may have had. Perhaps you had the same job for 10 years. Well, in that case, then if you've received promotions, those are the things you're going to put in. You're going to put in different job titles and different responsibilities under those job titles. And we've had the question a couple of times, how many experiences do you put in? Well, generally, it's best to go back 8 to 10 years on your resume It keeps it kind of fresh, and it also keeps it shorter so that an HR person isn't reading multiple pages. You have several compartments where you can put the work experience. So after you've finished one job and you save that, then you'll get another blank fill in, and then you can put in your next job. And you just keep doing that until you've completed all the work experiences, and then you move ahead to the next section. Now, one more thing about your experience. When you express your experience in writing, you have to use really dynamic terms. The thing is, you don't want to go overboard with the same word. You don't want to use the same word too much. You don't want to say achieved, 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 achieve this, achieve that. Every time you start a sentence, it's with achieved. You don't want to keep that kind of repetition. You also want to make sure that you are quantifying the things that you've done. If you are able to put numbers, if you increased productivity by 15%, or, if you worked with over 100 people, something like that, you want to put that in so you can highlight your experience and highlight the level of responsibility that you've had. On this sheet, this slide are also some of the words that you can use, the verbs. You do want to start the bullets in your resume, your work experience. You want to start them with an action verb like achieved, organized, developed, advanced, things like that. One of the other questions we've also had a lot over the time that I've been here is that, what do you do about gaps in employment? Well, see, the thing is, you can't always put a gap in employment on a resume. There are times that you might be able to. Let's say, you were working and then you quit work, or you stopped working and went to school full time. You can list that in your experience so that the person can see, oh, okay, he stopped working here, and then he went to school for 2 years, completed his degree, and then got another job. But the thing is, just be honest about any gaps in employment. If it's on your resume and you get to the interview, you can explain it in the interview. And there are all kinds of reasons that people have gaps in their employment. And the person talking to you is just as human as you are, and should understand, and most people do understand, that things in life happen. You end up taking care of a family member. You get laid off. That's a very prevalent thing that's going on right now. Or, if you got fired from your job, or if you just took off time for personal reasons. Those are things that you can explain. Just explain them briefly and talk about how you are ready for the next challenge in your life. Skills is something that you really should get into your resume and start listing, skills in your resume. The Indeed Builder has a really great format. You'll see on the slide that there are already some skills listed. Well, you just click those skills, and those skills popped up based on what you were putting into your resume. So you can click on those skills, and they'll go into the list of skills, or you can go down to that drop box and you can start writing in a skill. If if the skill is not listed by Indeed, you can still put it in. But most times when you start writing about the skill, you'll get another drop down, and it'll ask you questions, or basically give you suggestions on how to put this skill in. So one of the things that you need to be really specific about, and you can see here in the example, the person has clicked on certain skills. and then they go down in the list. Then you could go to the blank and you could, let's say you typed in Microsoft Office, and then in the drop down, up pops Microsoft Office Suite. Well, here's the thing, and this is why I say be specific. Microsoft Office Suite may include more than you know about. So be specific. If you have experience with Microsoft Word, then go ahead and put that in separately. Maybe you've got Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Put those in separately, because if you put in Microsoft Suite, most times the suite comes with something called Access. And if you put in the suite, then the person would assume that you have Access experience as well. And you do not want to give a false impression to someone. So be specific about the skills that you're putting into those boxes. Now, as you get to the bottom, you'll see other things where you can add a license, certification. You can enter information if you are part of a professional group, if you've won any awards, things like that. So this is also something you want to make sure you complete and get something in there if you have those certifications, or if you, let's say you're a member of the plumbers union, that is something that you would put in as a group. Now, in the Indeed Builder, the last thing you'll do that goes directly into the resume is your summary. Now, the summary is usually the first thing that the employer or the HR human resources person will look at. Now, when you're doing the summary, it's basically going to give the employer a brief overview of what you've done, your experience, and your skills. 2 to 3 sentences. That's all it is. That's all you do for a summary. Here's an example. It's, right here, you can see it's just 2 to 3 sentences. It's very short. And Indeed also has a sample here, dedicated warehouse worker with 7 years experience in shipping, in the shipping department. And that's the kind of thing that you'll put in, dedicated customer service professional, responsible customer service professional. The thing is, because it's your resume, you're not going to say I am, or you're not going to use any personal pronouns. You're talking about yourself. So it's just going to be, passionate teacher, passionate educator with over 20 years experience, well-versed in Microsoft Office Suite. Those are the kind of things that you'll put into a summary so that they can take a quick look at the summary. 2 to 3 short sentences, takes less than 10, maybe 15 seconds for them to read, but then it intrigues them to read the rest of your resume. So you want to have a good summary, good opening summary. Now you've done the summary, which was the last part. So when you save your resume, something new pops up. And this invites you to take an assessment. And when you were putting in your skills, you were putting in things like, organizational skills, or word processing, or public speaking, or something like that. Well, you have an opportunity through Indeed to put in more information by taking an assessment. These assessments, they have over 50 assessments that you can take. And when you take these assessments, your score goes into your resume. Now, once it goes in, you can hide it or you can make it public. But if you score well, it usually says expert. Let's say it's public speaking and you take the assessment and you score well, then in your resume, it will say Indeed Resume Builder Assessment in public speaking rated expert. And that's something that employers will see, and employers like to see, excuse me. A new thing that Indeed has just added is if you have been displaced because of COVID-19, if you have lost your job because of closings due to COVID-19, and you're ready for work right now, immediately, then all you have to do is click this button. And that also goes public. And whoever's looking at your resume or looking at your job search can see that you're ready right now, you're available right now for a position. And then the last thing you can do with your resume that you built is download it. And you can download it to your computer, and that way you can print it off when you want to. And then you'll have ones to take with you to a resume, excuse me, to an interview. Sorry about that. You have resumes to take with you to an interview, but also resumes that if you need to mail them to someone, you'll have that ready. Now, the resume, when you make it public on Indeed, it can be read in the format that you choose. And that is the other great thing about Indeed. They have these really great formats. You know, all you do is enter the information, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 different formats, 4 professional formats that you can download your resume into. And that way, when you print it out, you got that professional look. When people are looking at it online, it's got that professional look. And it's a really great resume builder. So there are probably more questions that you might have about the resume builder. There's more that we can do. We have sessions at 10 a.m. on Facebook and 2 p.m. on YouTube. And we do talk about Indeed and their products and our Indeed Goodwill partnership quite a bit. So thank you very much for watching. Hope that you have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.